hate to say I told you so. I hate to say I told you so.
So we would hear it and find him. you think you own.
non-stop like this. Don't pause, press play. Here's it. Rock the party non-stop like this. Don't pause, press play. Here's it. Rock the party non-stop like this. Don't pause, press play. Here's it. Party non-stop. Don't pause, press play. The party non-stop like this. 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 The party non-stop. The party non-stop. The party non-stop. The party non-stop. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't press play. Press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't press play. I wanna hear what you got to say. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. I wanna hear what you got to say. Don't pause, press play. Is it? Rock the party non-stop like this. Don't pause, press play. Is it? Rock the party non-stop like this. Don't pause, press play. Is it? Rock the party non-stop like this. Don't pause, press play. Is it? Party non-stop. Don't pause, press play. The party non-stop like this. The party non-stop like this. The party non-stop like this. The party don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't press play. Press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't press play. I wanna hear what you got to say. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play. T-U-R-B-L, right into the cloud. Business how we go. T-U-R-B-L, let me take control. We are on the roll.
Hello, my friends, and welcome on into day 2 of the Huntress Trials, hosted here at the British Esports Association, with a prize pool lovingly provided by RixGG. Thank you all so much for coming on by. I am going to be your host for today and one of the casters, TK Layla, but I am not going to be alone in this endeavor because just like yesterday, I am going to be joined by our two wonderful co-casters of Sam and Grace. Hello, you two. It's good to see you both again. This is going to be a fantastic day. We had 4 matches yesterday, which were a lot of fun. And today we're going to have 3 more matches for you all to decide the top 3 of our teams here. And obviously with the £2,000 prize pool up for grabs, it's still anyone to play for. And we've got plenty of action coming along for you. And Sam, I know you're probably excited for this, but the very first match in this series is going to be Legulls versus Under Construction, both of which are at 4-0 respectively. So this will very much set the scene for the top 3 for sure.
These two teams have been duking it out with every other team throughout this tournament over the last day. They've come so far, having won 4 of their matches. They're both sitting on 8 points. But what breaks the tie is that the girls have a plus 44 round differential. They have won 52 rounds and they have only dropped 8 over 4 maps. It's absolutely insane. And let me tell you, a team named Under Construction, they're not a team to lift your noses up to. They're at a 34 round differential, so they've only dropped 18 rounds. There's 10 rounds difference between these two top teams, and now they have to duke it out against one another. And if I can just go over permutations for the whole like first, second, third place, and before I even get into that, Team W, they've dropped 20 rounds, so they're at a plus 32. So there's also quite a big gap between second and third. So for our first two teams, if the girls win it by a mile, or if it's an exceptionally close match, then they will very likely still win out streaks ahead in terms of the round differential. Team Name Under Construction need to have a stellar performance over their next 3 matches. They need to have at least 10 points for 2 of the games to pull ahead of Legals, and then they need to have a really strong showing to kind of pip forward. And that's assuming that Legals don't continue on their streak of having massive point differences in every single one of their games. So Legals just need to stay consistent. Team Name need to step it up unbelievably and keep it at that level over the next 3 rounds if they want to pip that first place spot. It is so tightly contested between these 3 teams. Team W as well, I mentioned the difference between Team W and Team Name is about 12 points, 12 rounds. So again, if they want to pip themselves into the second place spot, they're in the exact same position as Team Name Under Construction. And with both teams going to try and get those stellar, amazing performances to try and get one level higher to get into the higher prize pool, it's just going to be an all-out bloodbath.
Yeah, and speaking of the fact that you're bringing up Team W as well, we are going to see them later on in. They will also be taking on Under Construction. So if Under Construction turn around and lose this match to Legals, then second place is very much up for contention for Team W if they have a solid showing throughout the rest of their series as well. So there's plenty of action to play for. And Grace, how do you feel this is going to play out, especially between those 3 teams? Because, again, Sam's mentioned the girls are on an amazing streak right now. But if Under Construction can bolt down what they do and bring that gap just that ever closer, it means that match 7 could still yet be a monumental showing on all fronts.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a really important thing to point out actually is the fact that Team Name Under Construction have actually played together longer as a team. A majority of the members of that team have played together for about 2 months or so, whereas Legals it's a very new team. I think they played together for like a day before coming into the tournament. They basically made the team for the tournament, I believe. But again, on both sides, you've got a lot of CS and comp experience in first-person shooters anyway. So I think personally, I love that we're opening with this match because it's going to be a frag fest and I'm here for it. And I know that yesterday I was being a little bit of a goblin about it and I was like, I really want these just insane, aggressive, nutty kills on each other. And I think we're going to get that. So again, on paper, it's really hard to make an assumption as to how this is going to go because as we said, both these teams have done really, really well, and this will be the first time they're actually going up against each other. And I think at this point, they both know that each other is like their biggest competition so far. So I think whoever wins, as we say, it's going to really give a good prediction as to who's probably going to come out on top through the end of the tournament.
You're absolutely right with that. And as we prepare ourselves for these 3 matches today, we're also going to remind you all, for those of you who are just joining us, as to some of the antics that happened yesterday. We had 4 matches there. We had Bad Bros losing to La Girls. That was a 2-13 match. So again, you get to already know how dominant La Girls are on that. I think that was replayed off stream, and that was even more of a dominant side for the girls, but they won 13-1. So again, they're not messing around. Match 2 was easily the closest of the 4 matches. We had last minute and unlucky, which I feel like is still one of my favorite matches from yesterday. Just last minute managing to get to 10 points, and then unlucky just managing to go on. I think it was like an 8-point streak, and even then that last point just got stolen away from them by such a fine margin. So last minute having a massive great showing there as well, but ultimately losing to unlucky by 13-11. Then we had unlucky on stream again. They went up against Bad Bros. That was a 13-5 in Unlucky's favor. And then Impact losing to Team W 13-3. Out of those matches, Grace, which of those matches did you enjoy having a look at?
I love watching Unlucky play, and I think I made that very obvious yesterday. I love how objective focused they were being. It was just rush to site, get the spike down, and then think about getting the kills. And I appreciate that. It's reducing the timer significantly, as I said. It's going to put the defenders a little bit in a hot place because their focus is not only getting those kills, but then defusing the spike. So yeah, I think the way they play is definitely one I find a lot more explosive, a lot more entertaining. And yeah, I'm curious to see where they're going to end up with the leaderboard, to be honest. And I'm excited to see how they do today. Definitely.
Yeah, I very much echo that one as well. And what about you, Sam? Were there any specific players that you liked the look of yesterday?
Specific players? Someone that stood out to me was Obrink, partly because she was playing an off-meta agent. She was playing the Brimstone for like the entire day. And I loved seeing that smoke utilization come out because very few teams were even using the Omen. We did see the Omen come out, but it wasn't like a staple. So it was very surprising to see the smokes not really getting used. So I enjoyed seeing that. Sophie was another really standout player. She had some exceptional showstoppers that got the most ridiculous value. I was super impressed with how she played. And then I got to give it to my girl, Lissu, who I actually happen to know in another capacity. She, like, after the matches yesterday, there was one moment where I teased her because she got killed by a shock dart. It was like the opening kill of the very first round of the match that we were casting. And I was like, and Lissu dies to a shock dart. Classic. And she, like, called me out on it. She's like, what the hell? But it's all banter. And I've been really enjoying watching her play as well and seeing her pop off. You know, she kind of predominantly works as a manager. So it's really nice to see her flexing her muscles a little bit.
Yeah, definitely showing that they absolutely can to hang with the best as well. So it's always good to see that. Well, we do have some changes from yesterday that we can briefly mention. We know that we have mentioned Bad Bros a couple of times, but unfortunately they have decided to drop out of the competition, so they will not be playing today. So it will ultimately be down to 7 teams for today. We've also got a bit of a roster change as well for Impact. I think Speed is now team captain, and the sub that is coming in is Beth. So a bit of a shakeup for Impact. And how is that going to change how they do things, Sam? Is that going to have a playstyle change, or what do you reckon?
Well, having substitutions can have a massive effect. We've actually been seeing it in North America with the VCT at the moment, where 100 Thieves have had to bring in a substitute for Nitro, and it's affected how they played. Cloud9 have just had to replace 2 of their players, and it's definitely affected their play style. But of course, that's on a much bigger scale, with teams that have played together for a very long time. And so it definitely has a massive effect there. But with these teams that are mostly, they've kind of come together really short notice. They've just decided, we're going to have some fun with this. It can have a little bit of an effect because you did start to build up something with your main players, but I don't see it having the craziest impact on how they're planning to play. I think that the general idea of whatever these teams have decided, whether it's a rush B plan or like a slow and steady wins the race plan, whatever the case may be, they're likely just going to stick with that and try and have their new person slot in as best they can. I don't see it being a massive issue. I think it will bring some interesting swap-ups with agents, potentially. We might see a few more interesting things. I saw on the Red Bull thing, we got double Viper going on Icebox. Could we please have that here? Please.
Oh, that would be nice, but it looks like we do have confirmation that our first matchup is going to be on Bind, I'm afraid. There's no Icebox in sight, but you never know. We might have a Viper. I probably doubt it, but having said that, I know yesterday we were expected to see certain ages come out, and I know, Grace, I know we get to call you out again. You're still like, why? We got Sages in here now, so you never know if someone wants to get extra spicy, you might see a Viper, but I probably doubt it. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be Bind coming on up for our first matchup. And which way do you see this going between the girls and Under Construction?
I'll go first with this. So I think it comes down to, obviously both these teams can definitely play a more aggressive play style, and I really hope, and again, me being a goblin, but I hope it happens. I hope we see it. I hope we see the duelist stack come through. And if it does, I'm gonna go with La Gals, just on the basis of the fact that if they played the way they did yesterday after one day of being together, day 2 is going to be a whole new level, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with La Gals as my prediction.
And Sam, what about you? Do you agree with that?
See, this is a tough one. We haven't actually been able to see Team Name under construction. And they've also won all 4 of their games. Now, we know that they've dropped slightly more rounds than Legals has, and we did get to see Legals on stream. But the one game we saw them in was a very, very dominant showing. So we didn't really get to see too many of those weaknesses get exploited. So it's very difficult to say. I think the Team Name under construction has a lot of potential here. I definitely see this being an absolute slugfest. I see the scorelines being very, very close. But much like I did yesterday, I kind of want to give it to the underdog. So I think Team Name take this one.
Oh no, I don't want to act as the tiebreaker. I hate doing that. Now I'm beginning to understand. This is yeah, you're absolutely right. Oh gosh, I mean, to be fair, like looking at both of these teams, I mean, obviously the girls go into this with the points in their favor because they've just been dominant in every single match that we've been seeing them go through with. So, but at the same time, as you say, it would be cool to see under construction sort of like bring that gap down and really make this fight for the top place just as close as physically possible. And obviously do remember that the top 3 do walk away with a slice of that prize pool. Third place getting £250, second getting 250, and first place getting the big old 1K, which is always going to be nice to see. The match will be ready and up soon. So once we have that up, we'll send you on over. And Sam and Grace, I know you're both looking forward to it, but I have to ask at this point, I mean, obviously Grace has already mentioned that she expects to see the duelists coming out strong. What do you reckon, Sam? Do you reckon there might be any wild cards in terms of agents coming on up, or do you reckon they'll just stick to the meta for this one?
Hard to say. We're moving on over to Bind. This isn't one of those maps where you tend to see a lot of outrageous agent picks. It's not like Split where you'll see the Viper and the Sage, or even Icebox. I'm kind of hoping that we'll see some interesting stuff. I think that you can get a lot of value with Sky on Bind for the flash utilization. But more than anything, it's probably going to be fairly standard. We'll likely see that Killjoy. Sova, we didn't see as much Sova as I would have wanted yesterday. And I actually mentioned it throughout the very first match, how the lack of information really seemed to impede Babros a little bit. So I think having that Sova available, having that intel gathering potential could be really instrumental, particularly on a map like Bind, where you can use the teleporters to your advantage. You really want to be able to see some really nice spots, find out where the enemy team is kind of flanking from or whatever. There's a lot of good stuff that you can do there. And I very much think we'll see some Rays as well, particularly for kind of controlling that hookah area, making sure nobody can push through there. Apart from that, I think it'll be fairly standard. Hopefully some more smokes.
Well, we will soon find out as both teams are ready to go. So without further ado, the first match will be underway in just one moment then. But it will be the girls going up against under construction, Sam and Grace. Please take it away.
So this is going to be an exciting match.
I'm genuinely stoked for it because I really do think that these two teams are going to go slogging at each other, and I am here for it, like genuinely. And again, if we think about yesterday, how a lot of these players played, especially players getting the opening pick, which I do think is so important at changing how, especially on attack, it changes up so much how you're going to go about getting the spike down or getting the diffuse out. And again, with Legals, you had players like Jupi, who was just every time getting that opening pick a majority of the matches they had, actually. And it really helped to swing the balance in their favor every single time, because it was a case of, okay, get that opening pick, everyone position themselves properly, what are the defenders going to do, or vice versa, what are the attackers going to do? So, and again, the way that they defend is pretty nice and aggressive, which again, I know I'm a bit biased with loving that kind of style of play, but I do think that is going to be interesting to see Team Name under construction go against, because again, they have the longer experience. A lot of these players have played together for 2 months. It's a lot longer than Legals. So I want to see how they are able to react to any aggression that Legals bring to the table.
I think the thing that I really noticed about Legals was they had such a solid defense. I love the way that they had positioned themselves around the map, and I kind of waxed lyrical about this yesterday as well. But they didn't get super spooked when they saw something happening. They didn't rotate early or unnecessarily. They waited it out. They had that patience. So their defense was really solid. Even their offense, they tended to go for kind of more solid defaults, having somebody on the lurk, making sure that all the angles are checked while you have your kind of 3-stack heading towards whichever site it is you're planning to attack. The one thing that I will say that Babros did wrong, and that I think this is what I want to see Team Name try to capitalize on. See, Babros had kind of kept running onto the point to try to stop the plant from happening. And playing for retake is a big part of Valorant. So I want to see Team Name kind of using that aggression against Legals. Wait till the spike goes down, but don't let them have time to get into those post-plant positions.
Choose your agent.
Ready for that retake, position yourselves well, and then attack. And I think if they can get that right, then that's where they're going to start to make something happen.
Yeah, I just want to point out that we're seeing Reyna kind of spam between characters there, but I think she is deciding to stick with the Omen. So yeah, but I also want to point out to obviously the use of Breach and Brimstone again, which we did see happen. I think it was once or twice yesterday, and again, it's not what I particularly like or appreciate, but I think it's very indicative of how they're going to go about playing this on their attack.
Well, this is interesting because Brimstone, now it depends on how you choose to play Brimstone. A lot of teams play Brimstone as an entry fragger. And what I mean by that, it sounds a bit weird, but once he's put his smokes down, he doesn't have too much else that offers the team. So you put the smokes down, and then he just rushes in and tries to get some kills. And in that sense, they kind of use him as an entry. So with only running the Phoenix and the Raze, that could be kind of where they're leaning for that. On the opposite side, though, however, they could be holding the smokes, waiting for the opportune moment to actually use them. So you could use them very aggressively and a hard early push, or you could wait until a little bit later on in the round, try and deny some space, try and deny some sightlines. So you have options here when it comes to the Brimstone, and I want to see exactly how TNUC do it.
That started off in a very good but I again just want to pick on the Reyna on it, because she can be a very aggressive player, and I think the most aggressive players are the best players, and I really hope she just pops off this match. I really do.
Really early wall in showers means that Padge isn't going to have that for later on in the round. Was potentially trying to stop a push from showers, but it didn't look like it was going to be a push. They went just to get that orb control, and orb control is so important for getting those ultimates early. We actually saw it got funneled into the Raze, which means they're going to have the showstopper, hopefully, a little bit earlier. Now it looks like they might be going, well, they're definitely going for this A hit, but again, you can see they've got the lurkers. So TNUC playing a very good default here. They've got the Killjoy all the way over onto the B side to make some noise if necessary. Legals playing patient, haven't started the rotation just yet. Still have two on site on B waiting, and now the first kill will come through. That's going to open things up on site here on this A site. There will be a counter kill though as Karagi comes through and absolutely pops off. She's going to hold down this site. The smokes have come down. Shower control is firmly in the hands of Legals, however, and that's great because it means they have excellent sightlines. But Karagi doesn't need a sightline. All she needs is a ghost and a dream. She's going to get the 4K, and that should secure them this first round.
And again, this is the interesting thing to point out is there was very little action until about maybe like 30, 40 seconds left on the clock, which is, again, it feels like no one wanted to go as aggressive as I potentially thought they might in the first place. It was very calculated, very slow, very methodological, and I'm actually low-key here for it, and I know that's a shocker coming from me, but I'm impressed by the way that they played that. I am.
You'll find that a lot of the tactical plays that teams have can kind of come through on the pistol round because they don't have the guns to back up their plays or to back up, crazy stuff. So they tend to play a little bit more tactfully, if not kind of running and gunning. You'll find that more on kind of eco rounds, less so than just straight up pistol rounds. Now we're going to be going for the hooker push. The whole team seems to be moving through B here, and this is where that Raze gets so much value. Manages to get 2, and the follow-up is so good from the rest of Legals. TNUC tried to funnel their entire team through that hookah area, but with all of the spam coming through from down below, added with the Raze, there was just no way they were getting through.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for them to take a more aggressive stance with hooker, especially as all the utilities could potentially have what they want to do with that. Again, now is the time where we're going to see a lot of this money get used up and these better weapons coming out, so perhaps things will get a little bit more aggressive. But I think the kind of lining up hunger line situation is always a little bit dangerous when it comes to approaching the fight, because you are essentially low-key lining up for the enemy, which again you really don't want to do when you've got some of these players with gals on the side. Completely, yeah. I would run away from that situation.
Every time. Patch coming through for shower control here. A little bit of light spray coming through. Oh, the swing is so good. The teamwork from Padge and Ange. They're going super aggressive here, just getting some guns. Now, this is what's really important. If you guys didn't notice, Legals didn't buy this round. They bought light buy in the previous round because that was all they kind of could afford. So, like Sting Inspectors, that kind of thing. And they came into this round with not too much money. So, Padge and Ange go forward, get 2 kills, pick up enemy team guns, and just like that, you've upgraded your weaponry, and they are poised to take yet another round. As the spike is slowly starting to make its way to A.
And again, I feel like for the not like a little bit less aggressive, but be aggressive from 2 different points. Add extra dimensions to the way you're approaching things.
Spike's gonna make its way through B main this time around. They've abandoned showers. Do manage to get a pick off at last onto Jupy, and that, as we mentioned, she's been a massive boon for TNUC, but the bait is real. They do have a few players waiting on B site for this push. Reyna is still alive, waiting out towards B long, but they are going to get the plant down to the 3v3 situation here. Nice bait from TNUC. Of course, they have elbow control, but Anya again up on the high ground, managing to get a nice little pick off there. The last 2 players in elbow trying to cover the only 2 entrances into that area, into that back of site area, as 3 people are holding angles onto the side. Can they get the kill onto the stage? Yes, but the swing is good. The defuse doesn't come through, but with only 1 person left alive to try and defuse the spike, I'm not sure if they're going to make it happen. There it is.
Slowly but surely. Okay, yeah, defenders winning again. Sorry, my stream lagged out for a second then, but no. I think again, this really the way they did then was good. It was the first time they actually managed to get the plant down. I know, obviously we're only, it's 4th round now, so it's still early days. But I think again, it's kind of how I predicted this would go. It's going to be more about them kind of getting a little bit kill hungry at times. But again, I think Team Name Under Construction need to go for a more of a second dimension push. They need to have the extra woman power, I guess, kind of stacking up against the site that they want to take. Again, utility going down. I think they're just it's tiny little mistakes that seem to be catching them off guard at times. Maybe swinging out a little bit too wide at times as well. But again, I think that's just because low-key typical of people who have come from CS and things like that.
Another early wall into showers, and this just tells TNUC that they're not going for that kind of aggressive push out of showers that we saw earlier. Now, Legals are going to know that this is an anti-eco, and TNUC, having invested all of their money into the previous round, they're coming into this round with sheriffs and very, very light armor, some light weaponry as well. They don't really have a hell of a lot to work with here. So we're not expecting too much out of this round. Realistically, what they want to try and get done in this is to get 1 or 2 pickoffs. It was an interesting tremor. There's no kind of follow-up on it either, which is unfortunate. When you're using that utility, you really want to kind of follow up a little bit. And the spike is going to start to make its way through A main. And this is interesting because we've got the Raze swinging to the middle of the defender spawn. Okay, that's a big ultimate coming through there to try and just knock everybody out of sight. But Badge manages to block it. She doesn't get hit by the ultimate, gets the 4K. What? The Rolling Thunder comes through, stuns up almost the entire team, and Padge is just like, you will not. Manages to spray down. The spray and pray dream is real. That was an unreal round. it was an anti-eco, but throwing a Rolling Thunder into an eco round, ooh, that's brave.
Yeah, Pant absolutely popped off then. Again, I think I wanted to touch on the fact that you noted that Samsy kind of was going back towards the spawn. I think it's because there was a little bit of hesitance, from
Cover going out.
there was a little bit of hesitance in a way from the attackers of actually trying to push into the site they wanted. So perhaps it kind of made the defenders feel like, okay, maybe they don't actually want to go to this site. Maybe they want to go to B site. And so I think I do understand kind of lurking around that area, just waiting for the call from your teammates as to where that's going to come from.
This time we're going to have a split push towards B. Not all funneling through hookah, which I like to see. So we've got Raze holding up in hookah should someone try to push out aggressively. We do tend to see that happen quite often. While the rest of the team is going to make a little bit of noise up B long. I wonder if they're going to commit to this. They are slowly eking their way up. Reyna all on her own, but she does manage to spot out 4 players. So we've got the runner back coming through, and this is fantastic. More than anything else, it's going to try and get some information. The showstopper will come out. Oh, gets killed mid-showstopper, but it doesn't matter because Jupi is there to swing out and get 3 kills to bring the numbers advantage firmly in Legal's favor.
1 enemy remaining.
The equalizer comes through though. It's down to the 2v1 situation here for TNUC. They still have the spike available. Tremor comes out, but Anja manages to miss it. She knows where 1 player is. Now she's going to know where the Phoenix is as well. But they're denying her sight, and this is massive, although for some reason the spike still hasn't gone down. So they continue to throw utility into B to make sure that she's not able to get any value, but they haven't capitalized on it yet.
Oh,
There we go. Whew, that was looking a little touch and go.
just a little bit. I also want to apologize quickly. I called Karagi Samsy. I was getting my razors mixed up there. I think I need to go back to bed. But no, I'm surprised. I thought, I think, again, a player like Anna, I think she is so good at hitting heads that, denying her that visibility is really going to kind of stump her out a bit if she is trying to clutch those situations. So really well played by the attackers there, not peeking her. I think that's very, very important in situations like that. There's no need to peek. Just get the spike down and wait it out.
That was the thing that concerned me because there was so much utility coming through. They weren't peeking, but they also weren't planting.
Yeah.
So they didn't get the extra credits for having the spike down. But it wasn't really needed. They are on quite a bit of a win tear here at the moment. Oh, they're going for the aggressive play through showers. It's a beautiful swing there. There's not going to be any follow-up from the Killjoy. And just going to try and survive here as they're going to know that she is there waiting out towards showers. They've made some noise on A site, but as you can see, the spike is still kind of hovering towards that market area. TNUC going back. Haven't picked it up just yet. I think they were trying to bait the rotation, but it hasn't come through. Again, Legal's showing how patient they can be. Empress will come out here. And that's going to be fantastic for a little bit of extra rate of fire. The outline around all the enemy players. Help to get some fire through, but... Well, this is some serious patience from TNUC.
But, that patience can almost be at their detriment as well, because again, I think you want to be playing aggressive when you're these two teams. Again, it's not just me being a goblin. I genuinely think these two should be just going for it at each other. I really think that is something I want to see. Again, the spike's gone down about like once, twice, maybe. A little bit of pop shots being given there towards Hookah, but it doesn't quite land on anyone.
Both lockdowns will come out here, so that's going to cause both of these teams to have to play a little bit more carefully. But Jupi, the twin razors going at it from afar. Down to the 3v3 situation here. And you spoke about the spike. Well, it looks like it has gone down, but the time runs down. No! They ran off the clock. It didn't matter. They were trying to get the spike down, but they just ran out of time. Maybe sometimes you need to be a goblin, Grace.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, sometimes you just need to be a goblin. You need to go for those kills, and you need to be, just clicking heads. And I think, again, I don't know if it's just hesitance, because again, these two teams know that they're each other's biggest competition so far. So maybe it is just a case of, we really don't want to lose this. It is best of one, so the pressure is really high, obviously, when it's a best of one over a best of three, as an example. Again, we are around the halfway mark for this side, so I do think it's interesting to point out that, two of the defense at the moment, a really nice positive KDR going on. So, you know, shots are being had. It's just not as aggressive as I wanted.
And unfortunately, TNUC have come into this round with really inferior guns once again. So, oh, okay. Zanetta with a Vandal actually manages to get a nice little shot there. Tremor comes out again, just trying to cause some dissension so that they can start moving through. Now they know for sure that there is someone in the lamps area. They're going to try and move for control of lamps because that's really important. That being said, Spike is slowly making its way over towards B. TNUC are trying this strat of making noise on one side, baiting, and then moving through to the other side. But what they don't realize is how patient Legels is. And as you can see, Karagi is already read this. She's making her way over towards the B side to back up the Killjoy. And as the shots continue to fly through, the trades do come back and forth. They will actually get a plant, but can they defend it? Only 2 people left alive. 1 in elbow, 1 in the tin. Oh, Karagi stomping around on sight, and that tells Samzi everything she needs to know. The showstopper's going to come out. Gets aimed straight into Hookah, but doesn't manage to connect with anything. It does, however, deny a little bit of sightline. Buys her a little bit of time. She manages to spot Reyna out in the back of sight, but isn't able to win out the duel. 2v1 situation here. Zanella alone trying to defend the spike. Oh, they fake the defuse.
1 enemy remaining.
She wins the duel against Reyna. Down to the 1v1. Oh! She wins the duel, clutching it out for her team.
It's indeed victory candy cane. Really nice use of utility coming through from Samzi there to really delay the defenders. I mean, obviously it did get very, very close there at the end as well, but yeah, that utility use really prevented them from immediately pushing, and then even when they did, it was kind of like, oh, do we actually, like, there's a bit of hesitance coming through from like Gals about whether they're actually gonna try and stick the defuse or not, and yeah, really nicely done there by the attackers.
TNUC really struggling. We kind of expected this to be more of a slugfest, but Legals, I kind of highlighted how good their defense was when the match started, and they're just proving that time and time again. TNUC just really struggling to break through their defenses. They've managed to find themselves. Ooh, that's a TP. Not sure if cancelled or I think she cancelled it. That was kind of an information gathering teleport. So they now think they know that there's no one in showers, or at least they don't have an entire team pushing towards showers. And so you can see there's a little bit of presence towards the spawn so that they'll be able to rotate regardless of where the push happens.
Joke's over.
So they might be leaning a little bit more towards the B site, as now the run it back comes through. And once again, this is a fantastic ultimate for getting some information. Orbital Strike comes through, actually manages to take down Jupi. That's a huge pick for TNUC, but the equalizer will come through from Paj. It's going to bring that down to the 4v4 situation here. Spike hasn't made its way onto point. They did get some information from that run it back, but clearly the information they got was, it's dangerous out there. The Rolling Thunder is going to come out now for some disorientation, and now they need to move. But Karagi, despite the ultimate coming through, manages to get a pick off there. There's a good swing to get her down as well. But TNUC make their way very, very dominantly on the point. Odaki manages to get 2 fantastic kills there. Spike goes down, and Reyna's the last person standing on her team. In a 1v3 situation, can the Omen make it happen?
Yeah, it's not looking that great for her right now. And again, it's I was going to point out that perhaps TNUC are being a little bit slow with their attacks, and they're not really taking those fights immediately, and that's something I'm slightly disliking. But it's worked for them really well this round because they've got the spike down, and again, oh, Reyna's going to pick off one though. They're going to take down Salty Sandwich. Can they get the other 2 and manage to get this defuse off? I don't think it's going to happen. That is close. At least you got a kill out of it though. At least you get a kill out of it. We appreciate
man. The smoke TP bait was so good there from Reyna, and it was actually so close, but unfortunately having one person firing at you through the wall in hookah, and it's blind firing, that's what's so important about where you place your spike. You have your default positions and you say, all right guys, I've planted for long, so everyone knows I'm 10 miles south of it, but I know where it is, and I know that I can shoot through this wall. So if somebody's trying to defuse it, I'm just going to spray through this wall, and they're not going to be able to defuse. And that's exactly what we saw there. And now, Legels have actually been put in such a weird spot after losing 2 rounds. They actually have to eco. They're up 2 points, but having lost 2 rounds, they just can't afford to buy the guns that they want.
I know it'll be a case of how they're gonna go about kind of improving that situation for them. They're gonna have to go for these kills and go for a lot of these objectives if they do get the spike down. But it's again this idea of there's just a lot of hesitance still coming through from these two teams. Not what I say hesitance, but Samsi's gonna start this off by taking down Karagi really nicely actually. They've already got on site. It's an interesting way that they're playing that I didn't expect is I think what I'm trying to articulate. The spike is down, however.
Oh, that's a nice kill from Padge there, the headshot with the Sheriff. We did mention that the Gals have come into this round with the inferior guns, but doesn't make a massive difference. Put a Sheriff in Jupi's hands and she will get a 2K. But is it going to be enough as it's down to the 1v1 situation here? That's Salty Sandwich versus Anja. She's got such low HP, wasn't able to get that HP up. Oh my goodness, Salty turned away for half a second and it was looking so damaged. But that reaction time was just way too good. They get another point on the board.
Yeah, and TNUC really pushing these rounds back in their favor now. They're only 1 round behind Legals. They've really started to pull this back on its head. But again, it's not how I expected it to be. I expected, okay, maybe they're just gonna, rush in, get the plant down, and click a load of heads, and it's gonna be this super aggressive game. But again, there's loads of hesitance. We're not really seeing any action. A majority of these rounds so far until about the 35-second mark, which I personally find that unexpected. How about you?
A little bit, but it's really hard to tell what teams are going to do at any given moment, right? Sometimes they come up with the craziest strategies that you just weren't expecting, and that seems to be what's working fairly well here, especially for TNUC. I think that once they started going a little bit Goblin mode, the thing that you've been enjoying so much, it started to work out so much better for them. Legals, it's felt like they've started to waver a little bit on the solid defense that they've had for so long. You can see they've actually swapped up how they defend every single round. Now that crazy Sage Wall is back up again, but oh, that's a big flash. And Odaki actually manages to win the duel. That's huge for TNUC. Now Reyna is out of the picture. They've made all the noise over onto the A site, and Legals are going to start sending reinforcements over. It is just going to be the Killjoy for now. Once again, they're not kind of overcommitting to any one rotation, but they are spreading their manpower or woman power a little bit thinly here. Padge does manage to get the equalizer, which is massive, but the spike is still in play and moving its way towards B as Karagi is also going to do that kind of lurk in the defender spawn side, waiting for a good time to push in. She's managed to pop the showstopper here, waiting for a chance to use it, pops herself up, doesn't get the air that she wanted, wasn't able to get any value out of that as Jackie will take her down mid-ultimate as the rest of TNUC move on. And despite the Empress being out, she gets completely swung on with a beautiful 2 players pushing through to take her down. The spike will go down, and Samsi's on an absolute tear here, trying to make sure that that spike does not come out of play.
You should run.
She does get taken down, and now it's the Killjoy versus the Reyna. The lockdown comes down, gets destroyed, which is very unfortunate here for TNUC because it means that Reyna can definitely get this defused. There's no nano swarm on site. She gets the halfway mark, despite a few shots being thrown at her. Is she going to be able to stick? Yep. Oh, the nano swarm comes out last second, but too late to stop the defuse.
Yeah, a little bit too close to comfort there, if I'm honest. An interesting thing, though, is I'm noticing they're managing to do a lot better for the side of TNUC when they are actually getting those opening picks so far. That is what's really swung this a little bit more in their favor. Obviously, a really beautiful clutch coming out there from the girls, though, really not to be glazed over. I think that was really, really patiently played by Reyna.
Taking a look at these buys here, we're going to see TNUC forcing it up. They want to try and maintain the streak that they had before. Legals also with a little bit of a force. I think I saw a Bulldog come out there. They also want to try and keep their ammunition as high as possible so that they can actually, or keep their firepower up so that they can make something happen because, of course, they want to continue winning. You can hear the Sage Wall being destroyed, so Padge knows there's at least one person trying to push through showers. Look at this lurk, though! Legals are on the most epic flank ever, and TNUC are just not going to see this coming. 3 ladies pushing their way through market, coming up behind TNUC. They haven't even turned around to look behind them. Oh, one person on the spot, but Jupi gets the upper hand. Orbital Strike comes out, Showstopper as well. Every single ultimate in the game coming through here, but TNUC just walks straight onto site. But this is what I was talking about with those post-plant and the retake positions. They're now actually denying the spike from going down at all. This lurk from Legels was so huge, they managed to completely dismantle TNUC without giving them so much as an opportunity to get onto the sites.
That was insane. I think maybe it's a slight different kind of goblin players coming through, but I do think yeah, it's really sneaky rotations coming through. I was slightly worried at one point that Avena was actually just going off on a jolly, but then I think she did actually stick around the rest of the group for a bit. But yeah, it really forces TNUC to have to push to A site. That's the only place they can go now to get that plant down, and at that point you are just pinched and it's too late. And I think that kind of defense is exactly what I was talking about that I wanted to see from the attack. It's that two-dimensional push. And yeah, the two-dimensional push on the defense as a flank is chef's kiss.
Well, what's awkward about this is that it's last round before the half, and both teams have completely forced. Neither one have saved. So whichever team loses here are going to be... Oh, they're going to not be looking too good coming into the economy for the last round. That's... Or maybe this was... No, this is the last round, so they had to force up. Sorry, I'm being very silly. This was the last round, so they needed to force up as much as they possibly could. One player was coming into this with the Spectre, though, which is definitely the inferior gun. Hopefully they'll be able to get a pick somewhere and yoink another gun to try and even it out a little bit, as Legels will get the first pick of the round. And you kind of spoke about how important that is. Now we're seeing some massive patience from TNUC as they realize how important this round is.
Yeah, 100%. This will be their last attacking round, then it's going to get a little bit spicy for them on the defense. They might have to come against Legals. Again, a very aggressive attack I am expecting to come through. So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out.
Oh no! I was watching that on the mini-map and I was waiting for the swap and it happened. The beautiful headshot there. It's completely shutting that down. Oh no! Tremor comes through. Let's try and create some space, try and create an opportunity to move through. Nobody checking corners! No! Padge with a beautiful 2K there. Nobody was expecting her to be standing there. What a fantastic defense here from Legels. And it was purely off the back of TNUC. I don't know, maybe they were just a little bit... Maybe they were kind of freaked coming into this last round, but silly mistakes towards the end of the round there, and Legels' easy capitalization.
Yeah, 100%. And Anna leaving this defensive round with a 1.25 KDR, Padge following closely by the same as Jupi. It's insane. Like I was just gonna point out that Padge has been playing these really sneaky little spots, and I really appreciate that. I love it. And even the last round, then able to get those dirty little kills because they just were not expecting her to be there, and then she could just basically sit on the spike and just be like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, though? I have your spike. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see how Legals are going to play this attack now. And also, to be fair, how TNUC are going to play their defense, because, again, they seem to be thinking a lot more. There's more method to their madness that seems to be happening. So, I want to see how they do. Again, we're seeing a majority of Legals kind of grouping up together. It looks like they're going to go for an A push immediately. We could, again, see a lot of this aggression come through, which is what we're getting.
There it is. A nice solid push straight through onto the A side. Now Salty Sandwich is here. The molly will come out, but the wall is up. No way! This is like the quick play strat. I love it. They put up the wall to block some sides so that they can get the spike down, and that usually never works, but they managed to use it in their favor, using some smokes as well to give them a little bit of extra cover. No one was expecting it, and that's what makes it such a brilliant play. They completely sliced the site in half, and now they have to play for retake. TNUC, they're trying to fight for control of lamps here. The flash does come out. Beautiful swing coming through here. Manages to get the one, manages to get the other, and that's beautiful control here. Now that they have lamps control, they have control of the site. It's just 2 people left standing, but Karagi is a menace with the frenzy. Mid-reload, though, Salty Sandwich will swing out and take her down. It's a 2v1. Jupi is so far away. Can she clutch it out? No! Salty Sandwich with 4 kills in the round. A beautiful defense.
Yeah, really beautiful defense. Again, the girls playing exactly how I want them to play. Super aggressive, rush onto site, get the spike down. But then again, T and UC, this is what I was talking about how they can be very patient with things. The spike was going down. There was no immediate frenzied rush. It was just kind of like, okay, let's get these picks. Let's kind of walk through. We saw that kind of huddle situation where there was 4 of them trying to have like a kind of cowboy style shootout in such a close quarters. I really love that. But yeah, the patience to do something like that and then go for the defuse. It's really good, and it really shows how calm they can be as a team.
Ooh, that's a good bait. Using a little bit of utility in A main, then rushing straight through the teleport. But there's a great trade-off there as Odaki unfortunately goes down to the paint shells. The teleporter play does create some noise, but Legal's going to go with a teleporter play of their own, getting all the way over to A side because they know that everyone's rotated towards B. They are playing a little bit safely on the A side, but they're going to start planting. The spike's going to be going down on A, and it's just Karagi moving in to try to stop it from happening. All the action's happening on B, but nobody cares about B because the spike is down on A, and it's so heavily defended, and there it is. The round will go to Legals.
That's it, yeah, that's 2 plants off in a row. I want to see more of that. I want to see them really forcing the time and really making the defenders work to the clock here. I think that's, it's very 50-50 how it's gone so far. We are only to we're now on the 3rd round of their attack, so there's so much that can still happen. But again, I was expecting the kind of plays we're seeing to kind of start coming through, and I'm here for it, honestly.
Looking at this economy once again, having won the 2 pistol rounds, it means that they have a little bit, but not a hell of a lot. So they're going to keep a low buy here. Legals realizing that they only need 3 points to win. They're definitely going to want to try to play this a little bit more carefully. That's a really good pick-off from Patch, as well as Casil tries to push out on her own. Gets taken down by 2 people all the way down in B long. Nobody was expecting that. And oh, the TP straight play once again, but this time without the spike, as the spike is moving its way through market instead. So they might be expecting the spike to be coming through showers. Nobody would really be expecting it to come through main. And while that's happening, there's still 1 lurk over on B just to create a little bit of noise and create the pincers. She's chasing down the Killjoy. 1v1 happens off site, and yes, Anja does win it out. So now there's a massive pincer maneuver happening here as it's the last 2v2 situation. The spike is moving back towards B. This was such a good play from Legals. What?
Duppied with the knife, as we call it. I was like, this is a really aggressive push onto A going around the back there, but no, they were like, you know what? No one's clearly holding B. Let's go there. Spike is going down. How will the defenders react to this? It is a 2v2 situation, so it's relatively evenly matched, but everyone has to make sure they're holding those correct angles, trying to work out where these defenders are now going to come from. It looks like they're both making their way up through hookah together. So again, piling up a little bit, maybe not the wisest decision when you're in a 2v2.
Oh, the 1 HP dream here for Samsi. Yep, that was not going to go any other way. They were so low HP. Karagi just waiting for them to come around the corner and manages to get the kill. That was one of the best baits that I have seen on Bind. I loved that so much. Nobody knew where the spike was. The girls didn't even know where the spike was. They were just like, now I'm here. Now I'm here. Guess what? Now I'm over there. Hey! So good.
I was slightly, not disappointed, but I did think Anna was just going to kind of saunter past the defender's spawn and really go for an aggressive flank there. But then, yeah, at this last minute, I think they must have got the call being like, just go plant on B. We're running out of time. Just go for it. And yeah, it worked out really well for them.
We spoke about how much we love creativity, and this is exactly what Legals is showing us. Now, however, less creative, more rush A, I guess, as they're pushing straight up through A main. They've invested a lot of utility here, but TNUC are going to be matching this aggression, pushing straight through the smoke. Salty has no fear. She does get taken down for her troubles, but Jupi chilling on site here. She's managed to make her way all the way onto site. They've cleared it up, and then the 3v2, we got the last 2 people with the slowest rotation over from the B side as the lockdown comes through to stop them from pushing onto site. GP is just going to be holding these last couple of angles as the spike does go down. And the last 2 players from TNUC cannot get onto site because of where the lockdown has been placed. Realistically, there's nothing that they can do until the lockdown is over. And even now, in the 1v3 situation, it's not looking good. See how Phoenix pushing through here slowly but surely. Manages to take down the Rains. Oh, sorry, the Rainer, but the swing was so good from Jupi, who manages to get a 3k in that round.
Match point.
Yeah, like gals are on an absolute tear right now. Like I don't know.
They're doing really well.
The thing is as well, I want to point out is like obviously yes, I do love the aggressive plays, but the defense was really aggressive at the start of that round. I think we all noticed, and it worked out really well for them. At the start, but then all this utility just started coming through, and it essentially just completely 180'd how the round was going.
Well, TNUC had to eco somewhat in the previous round, so they didn't really have the matched up firepower because they knew that they needed to full buy this round, and even then they still have one player coming through with a Spectre. It's not ideal, but when it's the last round, it's match point. You've got to do something. They've also got Orbital Strike online, which might be able to deny a plant, but Empress has already come out. They've also got the Res, Legals, and the Showstopper. There's so many ultimates to work with here. Showstopper's going to come out. They're going to yeet it straight. Oh, yeets herself onto point. Hasn't thrown it out just yet. Going to throw it through into the defender spawn. Oh, man. How they've got each other's backs. This is what you want to see from your teammates. But unfortunately, Odaki does come out on top. Until she walks into the crosshairs of Anja. I mean, Legals have got such good post plant positions here. Doesn't matter where TNUC try to push in from, it's just not gonna happen. Soul tries her best. Orbital Strike came down, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. Did not allow her to get the defuse.
Again, Legals just dominating that. Well, no, I wouldn't say they've dominated it per se. But it's more the fact that, like, every single time that they've played, thus far, it's just been so insanely, aggressive, which does play into their favor. It does. And I think, as expected, we still. I'm so excited.
Words are hard. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we saw just them completely play into their strengths even more. In that, I think they knew. Again, both these teams knew. Okay, this is our biggest competition. We have to absolutely go in all guns blazing. And we saw TNUC do that. There was that really, lovely round a few rounds previous where they just went in super aggressive, and it did work out for them at the start. But again, I just want to point out that Anna on a 1.23 KDR finishing that off, that is really good going. If you go again into a positive with your KDR by the end of the match, that is a really good sign that you have been doing significant leg work. And we saw again the Vayner player being aggressive is it's salt and pepper, like you want that to happen. You want to see that happen. And a 13-4 victory against your highest competition is insane. I think going forward, even after this tournament, I really hope Legals stick together as a team, because I think there's so much potential there. And I think they can go higher and higher and higher if they stick that team together and keep doing tournaments together. And, even TNUC, I really think that they can do the same. I think that is a strong team that they've got together, and if they've been playing together for like a relatively long time, like 2 months is okay, it's not that long, but it's still the longest we've had with a majority of these team compositions. I really think there's some massive amount of potential there too, and I'm just so excited. I'm going to be keeping a really close eye on these two teams going forward. Like genuinely, I'm like yes. So that was an amazing first match for this day.
Yeah, I think that we couldn't have opened the day on a higher note. This was definitely Legals' most difficult match of the tournament. And I gotta say, if the second best team only pushed them to dropping 4 maps, I think we know who our winner is going to be. But the day's not over just yet. We still have a couple more games to bring for you guys. Before we jump into that, we are going to take a short break, but we'll be back with Game 2 very soon. Don't go anywhere.
from the start. Oh, you had me falling, falling, falling hard. Oh, you had me falling, falling, right from the start. Oh, you had me falling, falling, falling hard.
Ace.
Moving down to LA, to the land of opportunity. My grandma thinks I'm crazy for giving Hollywood a piece of me. I'm holding my head high, act like the world's mine. I didn't come for nothing, and all I know is I can't let them see. I got no idea what I'm doing. Take it all till I make it all the way. I've been winning, I've been losing, but you're never gonna break my poker face. Take it all till I make it.
trying hard to rearrange all these problems that been done. I've been known to be wrong, searching for some higher ground, just looking for something I can hold on to.
Drinking Kool-Aid cameras like I did when I was 9, 'cause I like to pretend that I haven't lost the time. In the end, the nostalgia, though it tastes fine, I can only drink a couple 'cause it feels like a lie. We play Halo and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, 'cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. They've been with me for some time, and it's nice to know that they still by my side. Friends are like stars, 'cause no matter how far, when it's dark outside, they will be your light. We played Halo and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, 'cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. Months go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid the summertime. Years go by, the time is by. Lots of days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime.
Running around like dollars in the wind, bending over backwards just to let you in. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. Yeah, I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down and now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the I'm sick of fighting the things that you said. I don't wanna burn all our bridges ahead. I'm tired of going to bed when you left me on red just to turn up the noise in my head. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. Yeah, I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down and now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the
Welcome back, my friends, to the Huntress Trials here at British Esports Association with a prize pool courteously given our way by RixGG. I am Layla, and joining me is going to be Grace, preparing ourselves for match number 6 of this weekend. It will be the Valkyries going up against Impact. Both of these teams looking for their first win, and it should be a lot of fun. We don't know too much about these two teams, especially at both of them at the bottom of the table. So hopefully they're going to give us a fun time here. And what do you expect going into this with these two teams?
I mean, we haven't actually seen Valkyries on stream yet, but what we do know is obviously they've lost 4 games and they've won 1, and Impact have unfortunately lost all 5 of their rounds so far. I think there's a really interesting mix of experience here. I think Valkyries, they actually are very, very new to Valorant, and they're very, very new to comp. And Impact, they're kind of relatively familiar with comp, but in the Overwatch scene. So it's, again, as we were saying yesterday, there's a lot of utility use we do expect to come from teams like that who have come through from a very utility-heavy game. At the same time, obviously, Valkyries statistically right now are looking a little bit better. Yeah, I think there's like a 13 round difference in terms of the rounds that they've actually managed to the rounds that they've lost so far between these two teams. But at the same time, Impact have players like Speedoka and Beans, which I just love that name. I know I said this yesterday, but Beans is like the best name ever, and I love it. So yeah, Speedoka and Beans, they're very, very capable fraggers for the side of Impact. It's just then getting the rest of the team and like their utility use, how to fit that in to their best advantage. So for example, would it be that perhaps they're less gunners of the team, they might have to use a little bit more utility, get into positions where they're using that utility to enable these openings for Speedoka and Beans to just get these picks. Maybe they have to rush objective as well. Maybe that would be a good thing for them to do, just focus getting the spike down. We saw Unlucky do that a lot yesterday, so maybe a team style a bit like that would favor them. And again, if they are coming from a game like Overwatch where there is a ton of utility use, I think they can learn really quickly. And again, through this tournament, they probably have picked up on a few things like, okay, we are realizing how other teams are playing and how we can go against that now. So I feel very hopeful that Impact can kind of make a good stand here, I think. And again, Valkyries, a lot of them have come from, I believe it was actually MOBAs. I think they're all very new to Valorant, as I've said. But there has been some Call of Duty experience dotted about, so there will be some gunning potential in that roster too. It's just how that's going to translate into this game now, because obviously I think at this point there might be a bit of a mental game going. When you're at the bottom of the leaderboard, you're like, okay, we really have to win this one out. We have to get as many wins in the bag as possible. So I think as long as they can control the psychology game right now, both teams should be fine. In terms of predictions, though, Layla, like I really can't determine how this is going to go. I think it would be nice for Impact to win. To get one of these wins under their belt. I think that would be really good for them, and I think that they are at a point now where they should have adapted. So if they have adapted and we do see that, I think they can probably try and take this. Otherwise, again, on paper it looks like Valkyries may have a bit of an advantage here. So I can't for once actually make a prediction.
Well, to be fair, I'm on the same boat. I'm not entirely sure which of these two teams are going to be taking it, but we are hearing that they are starting to ready themselves up. We know Bind is going to be the pick, so 2 matches in a row today we're going to see Bind. Let's see if it ends up being the Hatcher going into match 7. I mean, we're always happy to see as much variety. It's actually interesting to note that throughout the weekend, we've pretty much seen all of the maps bar Ascent. That's been the only one that's came up, but this will be the second time we'll have seen 2 of the maps since we saw Haven twice. Everything else has been just the one time only so far, and it looks like both our teams are set, so we'll be switching on into that in just a moment. But what do you expect to see out of this? I mean, obviously we saw the previous match obviously done on Bind as well between the girls and Under Construction, and do you reckon Valkyries and Impact will have taken note to anything from that?
I mean, I don't think it's the same style of play. I think that's the beautiful thing about Valorant is there are different people with different skills and different experiences, and that translates really well into the game, but only if you focus on your strengths from what you know already. And again, I don't think we're going to see as much of a frag fest as we did see with the first match of the day. I think this is very much going to be very focused on utility. We're going to see more creativity of the lineups, which we're already seeing there. If we see on the side of Valkyries, actually bringing a Viper, which
Yes!
I don't know if we've actually seen a Viper this weekend yet. Correct me if I'm wrong though, Layla.
No, I don't think we have. Not on stream at the very least. This will be the first time having Viper on the side of things. Impact's going to go with what we've usually been seeing throughout the weekend so far. The Raze, the Killjoy, we got Reyna and Sage in as well, and it's always great to see that lineup pretty much staying as it is. But yeah, it's getting to see the Viper there. I'm gonna look forward to see what they're playing on. Obviously the Raze coming in as well, so this is going to be really interesting. How do you play Viper with this kind of lineup going against, what is essentially what we've been seeing so far in this weekend?
Well, I think obviously with Bind it's only 2 sites, and Viper is very, very good at cutting off a ton of rotates, lines of sight, things like that. And I think that starting off your attack with a Viper is significantly better than trying to defend with one, I'd say. They also have some intel utility there with the Cypher. Obviously, 2 duelists coming through for them as well. Again, on the side of Impact, though, we also have 2 duelists, and then the rest is kind of like Sentinels, Controller, or 2 Sentinels actually, which is an interesting one. But again, I expect this kind of composition coming from these 2 teams. I think they are the 2 teams that you're going to see most creativity from. You're going to see them using their utility in ways that are going to help the team to get the spike down more than to allow for kills. So that is what we're going to see. And again, we're already seeing Susie go into a corner to start laying down some of that utility, I believe, because again, you get these massive long area effects when it comes to Viper.
Yeah, and the turret already starting with their wonderful pew action, and Reyna just waiting, biding their time. The wall is going to come up from Viper, and we're going to see what the play is going to be from here. Pretty much everybody on B on both sides of the action, and again, just blind firing through for the time being, taking a little bit of damage from behind. So it needs to be a little dubious about where they go with this. The spike is very much rested in the B in the corner. Probably see it there, and Sage is going to go in on the Killjoy. Killjoy, unfortunately, turning the wrong way, and just like that, it's gone against the Valkyries. But having said that, though, Sage is still up, but finally drops on down, and it will be Impact taking the first point, the pistol round, crucially.
Yeah, and again, we really saw, as I mentioned, Spidoka and Beans are very, very capable gunners for the side of Impact, and they were the ones doing a majority of the groundwork there, both on 2 kills respectively, just even in the first round, so that's really good going for them. On the side of Valkyries, obviously seeing Snowy Bunny doing a majority of the work, so I think at the moment, there's not enough room for the duelists to be getting any opportunities for these picks yet. We do see, obviously, it is only the first round, so we can't make too many assumptions just yet. But again, so much utility being used even from the very, very start of the round, and I love that. I think it's a completely different style of play to what I personally like to see, but I think that it works really well in the favour of the strengths of these girls, and I love it. I really do.
Wall is going to go up from Sage, so that is going to block out that corridor for the time being. And again, you are going to see the push slowly coming on. Will Race be ready for it? Race turn around, actually. So finally does manage to see them at the nick of time, and does get the drop as well. Make that 2 for 2 between the 2 ghosts. And that is going pretty well for Impact's already 5-2 advantage. Cypher slowly making their way around, but again, look at all of the damage done. They'll trade a couple of the weapons and start unloading, but unfortunately gets nothing from that. And it looks like this could be a flawless for Impact if Reyna here can't get any picks whatsoever, and it is a flawless for Impact.
Which, that is really good going for your second round already to be a flawless. Again, I think Valkyries are using their utility in a way I expected them to use, but I think there are a few moments where they're perhaps, the utility is preventing them for that extra tiny bit of aggression that's perhaps needed from the duelists right now. It's kind of cutting them off a little bit, and again, it's interesting because I'm kind of thinking that obviously with teams like this, the best way to go against them is to go for these aggressive plays and keep their fraggers on their toes and kind of then dump a load of the utility. Or even they could just dump the utility and go for a rush to the site, but the defenders are holding these sites so well.
Yeah, and again, the wall is going to come straight back up, and it looks like we're going to see a smoke as well, and the eye coming out as well, so all of the utilities, as you say, just everyone just barreling on in with these at the moment, but no picks at the moment. And now, if you're Valkyries, you're thinking about, do we continue with this A push, or are we going to maybe swing back around? But if they do, they run the risk of running into the Reyna as well. But it looks like they are moving forward, and they get 2 picks there.
Look at this pinch coming through. Oh, I think they're aware of it. No, Spidoka picks up 1. Can they get the other one?
Last player standing. Flawless.
Wow.
Yes, they do. And yeah, this is. I've started to see that Impact are being a little bit cheeky compared to what we've seen from them so far. They are going, like, again, we saw in the last game that really nice rotate coming through in that game, which we expected, because again, it's very aggressive style of playing. But to see Impact actually play with a bit, it's spicy. I like it.
Definitely learning as they go on. It's cool to see them use these strategies to their advantage, and so far they are maintaining themselves a nice haul of credit with 2 back-to-back flawless rounds, nobody dropping from them. So yeah, they're gonna very easily have money to spend in these next couple of rounds if they wish to use it. And as we begin, it's gonna be another quick little double exchange, and 2 of Valkyrie's dropping on down. Yeah, they really do have this under control at the moment. I going out just to cover the side as well, and Sage needs to be careful here, and unfortunately Killjoy was waiting for them. Headshot of that, there was no doubt. 5-2 advantage again. What do Valkyries need to do here?
I don't know if it's it might just again be a little bit of this mental game coming through, because it feels sometimes like they're not taking the opportunities that are handed to them. They're being a little bit too hesitant, or there are times where they're either being too hesitant or beautiful 2K by Beans to finish Val off. I told you all to watch out for Beans. I told you all. I love that. But no, again, 4 rounds in a row that Impact have now snuffled up on their defense. It's really going to get a little bit too uncomfortable at this point for Valkyries. Their ecom is, again, a little bit wavy. It's... I feel personally like it's one of those things where it's good to use utility, yes, but also sometimes it can be at your own detriment, because you will almost like block yourself off. It's like, yeah, you're blocking that line of view for the defenders to pick you off, but you're also then preventing yourself from pushing into sight, and I think that's what we're seeing a little bit from Valkyries.
Yeah, but the wall again coming on up first, but it will be the Sage that drops now. So 3 points in a row of flawless, but they won't get it this time round as Impact actually lose out on the first encounter. And we are going to see a spike plant for the first time today. Down it goes. And the wall coming up for the Viper as well. So very good there from Valkyries, managing to get the better of the Sage. And Impact are going to lose another player here as well. All 3 of them tucked up in the window. And will Valkyries be ready for them this time?
We see Spidoka get a nice pick onto Snowy Bunny as Katya also trades out LV Soldier. Spidoka getting another one onto Miss Sarah. They have a majority of the site control now. They can go for this defuse, but no, Noki's going to shut it down. But she's then also going to get traded out by Beans. And I think this defuse is going to get off. Yeah, it is. Oh, that's so close. So unfortunate. Defenders winning another round, but I would like to point out that, yeah, Valkyries got the first pick then and did manage to get the spike down, and that is how they need to go going forward. More like that, please, and they will get more of these attacking rounds in.
Yeah, a good showing that time around from the Valkyries, but unfortunately dropping at that point right towards the end. And you got to feel for them actually managing to get that in there. But again, Impact so resilient, managing to go through there. But crucially, Valkyries managed to take them down all the way down to the last person as well. Again, they were looking for that last second kill, because obviously the round does not actually end until the timer resets you all back to your spawn point. So really nice little crucial takedown for Valkyries on that side of things. And now it looks like once again they're thinking about the B push. But having to be careful here because, again, whilst there's only one person on point B, they are slowly coming from behind, and we've seen them do this in the previous matchup. And, well, there is the first kill, and it goes for Speed.
Speedoka on an absolute tear, going into this round with a 2.4 KDR. That is insane, and now she's padding out her stats even more. How can she go? Can she finish this off? She gets another one. LB Soldier falling as Katya also gets Snowy Bunny.
Yep, finally losing one, but still with the 4-2 advantage. Viper extended just a little too far, unfortunately, and that makes it a 4-on-1. It's just the Rays left. And that is going to be another nice victory for Impact, 6-0 at the moment, and only dropping 1 mat time round. So, like I said, so much credit. Like, look at the amount of credits that Impact have compared to Valkyries. It's a really damaged limitations on what you can afford at this point for Valkyries.
Definitely, because now is also an opportunity, you know, do Impact save a lot of the credits they have, or do they take the opportunity to almost bully Valkyries, to kick them while they're down? So, I mean, I feel Valkyries need to go for a similar strat where they are going a little bit more aggressive, getting that opening pick, getting the plant down, and then just hoping that they're all covering and communicating which angles they're covering. I think that is the best option for them here.
They're all biding their time here, and again, you just see the poke every now and then, just waiting for the Valkyries to make the first move. The wall for both Viper and Sage going up at the same time. We are going to lose a block, and here comes the next set of spokes and the eye as well. So again, all of the utility coming on out. No one's dropped just yet, although a lot of damage on the side of the Valkyries, and that is a triple! Oh my goodness me, a triple! Right place, right time, indeed. They were not ready for that.
Last player standing.
It's now a 1v5 situation. There's very little Nuki can do in this situation as well. They have the spike, they have this pick to up, but again, there's so many potentials for flanks to come through. And I think, again, this is where Valkyries are kind of maybe not going wrong, but I think they need to dedicate one person each time to be watching their flanks, because that seems to be where Impact are catching them off guard. If they do find a site that's relatively clear. Another interesting thing to note is Impact, if they are taking these picks and they're going for these cheeky little pop shots, they're then pulling back a little bit. They're not fully contesting it. They're being a little bit safe with it. Which again, it's almost this turtle style of defense, which I don't actually get to see that much often when it comes to Valorant, but I do appreciate the spike is going down, but unfortunately Katsia is going to finish that off. A flawless round for Impact, Layla.
Flawless indeed, and Katsia just on fire with that. 4 kills in that round, I do believe. 3 of them in the space of 2 seconds, if that. It was just an unbelievable call. Again, so much utility being flung out on both sides of things, but Cat was just ready and waiting, just bided their time, waiting for them to make the first move, and then just peeked around the corner, and there they all were. Nothing the Valkyries could do about it. So as we go in to point number 8, we'll see what the tactics are going to be here. Again, it looks like they're thinking about the A push again, but they're holding back this time round again. But again, we know Impacts are fine with this. They're fine with Valkyries making the first move.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, it's that turtle style of strategy. It's seeing what they're doing, waiting for them to make the move, and then adapting to it. Katsia getting the opening pick there onto Nuki. So once again, Impact getting that opening pick, which at the moment seems to be really, really helping them at getting their momentum going.
And as the trap is going to finally pass on by, there is still a smoke in the window. But they already have one down on the side of Valkyrie, so it's 5-4. For the time being in the advantage of Impact, but it looks like it is going to be the B point commitment for the Valkyries, and they are slowly making their way through. It is Cypher with the spike, so they are going to go ahead and plant this, and it should go down, and it does. And down comes the ult as well, and that is a double kill for Togepi, and quickly retreats back, knowing full well they need to get around from that with the wall being up for Viper. Really good, again, patient tactics from Impact, and again make that free for Togepi, and Togepi with 4, and my goodness me, if it's not one player, it's the other getting the 4 kills in back-to-back rounds, and that's a defuse.
Yeah, Impact just absolutely showing up on this defense. It's insane. And again, they are the team that have kind of they've lost all of their games so far. Yes, some of those games have been very, very close though, and it's nice that they're actually getting an opportunity here to kind of, you know, really start to pull things in their favor. I mean, Spadoka's kind of backed off a little bit now, allowing, like, you know, Togepi and Katsia to sort of to show up a little bit more as well. So the scoreboard's becoming really nice and padded for these players. They're all getting these picks off really nicely, and I think as well, it's still about positioning with the Valkyrie so far. Their positioning is at their detriment, in my opinion.
It seems to be that way, as we're going to have another bot roll on out, and Reyna is probably going to get themselves caught here, and actually does so. It is going to be a trade in the end, so 4-4 here. But, well, you never know. Every single kill always matters in this game. The wall is up. That is enough for the plant, and they quickly retreat back into the corridor. Interesting tactic here.
I think it's the safest tactic to go for, judging on how they are struggling to hold site as much as they will probably want to. Going to see a lot of utility be used as expected. Again, they're going to go for this kind of utility dump to try and prevent the defenders now from going anywhere near that site, which again it is kind of expected from them based on their experience. Bean's getting that lovely pick down onto Nookie though.
That's going to be another drop as well. It's just the Sage and Valkyries are they going to get the first point? Yes, they are. They will get the first point. They are on the board, quickly using the teleporter to get away from the explosion. 2 will survive. Very nicely held for Valkyries. They are on the board.
Yeah, that's really good going. And again, this is how I expected them, if they were going to play their attack, this is how I kind of expected them to do their attack, and then if they wanted to win their attack, how they'd go about doing it. So they got that first opening pick, which was really, really nice. Then they got the spike down. Then instead of holding angles, which typically they seem to be struggling with, and I'm not sure whether that's because who's holding what isn't being communicated, they then decided to pull back and use their utility to do a majority of the site hold for them, which again, it works to their strengths better, and that is exactly how they need to be acting going forward if they want to keep getting these attacking rounds in. I mean, you know, there's only about 3 more rounds now that they have to try and win, and then they go to defense. So perhaps defense will be a bit kinder for them.
Well, we will soon find out as they are slowly making their way through. The smoke is already up, so Impact will be ready for this tactic this time around, and you see immediately Valkyrie's just backing on out, switching to a different side now. Will they continue to try and push A here, or will they slowly move towards B? It looks like the answer is going to be one going on in for distractions, for a diversion on the A. Meanwhile, everybody else is going to sidetrack to the side of B. There is a couple of utilities there, and only the one person there, which I assume will be the Killjoy. Turret does get a bit of shots off, and now obviously everybody from Impact will know that they are on B.
Yeah, this is the first time we're having, 30 seconds or so left on the clock and still no kills had to be had. The spike is going down. First pick is going to go to Spidoka, getting the kill onto Snowy Bunny, though. Immediately traded by Nookie.
Yeah, Togepi is ready and waiting, throws in the trap, but immediately caught by Viper as well, and that's a lot of Toxic to walk into, gets hit as well. But down goes Rain. So it's a 3v3 situation at the moment, but look at all of that Toxic. It's never going to be great to go in there. You really put yourself at a risk, but they are going to take it anyway. It's a 1v1. The mist will drop. Can they run out the Cypher? They can't. Valkyrie's get a second.
Okay, I see you. Okay, I think this is kind of good for Valkyries right now. I think this is definitely gonna boost their confidence a little bit, and they're gonna be thinking, okay, maybe we've sussed it out now how we can go about approaching this other team. Again, it's getting the spike down and using a lot of their utility. I think that it's obvious through their hesitance of getting going for like these peaks to get any picks onto the defenders. It's definitely a sign for them that they should and they are relying on their utility more than their gun power.
And somehow they are able to win out those fights where possible as well. I mean, it definitely was a bit of a rocky start for them, but they're getting more and more into this match as we go on. And we're going to see if they can score themselves back-to-back points again here. They've already got 2 on the board. Can they get themselves a third? Again, the smoke in the archway. And the IA is going to come out, but immediately taken down. Nothing they can do about it. It's a 4v3 situation in the favor of Impact. And again, Valkyries quickly hopping back towards the middle. Will they continue this A push, or will they try and do another play towards B? And unfortunately, that is going to be a res as well, so it's a 4v4 situation now.
A 5v4, because I think Impact actually got a res off as well there, bringing Beans back to life. And again, the kind of person you really want to be resing is Beans. She is an absolute gunner for the side of Impact. So, again, 30 seconds on the clock. The last 2 rounds, Spidoka getting the kill onto Snowy Bunny as Togepi takes down Miss Sarah. So that's evening up even more in the favor of Impact. It's now a 2v5 situation. Susie's going to get that immediate pick onto Spadoka and a second one onto Katia, but it's immediately traded by Miss Galvanize. It's now all left down to Nuki. Can she get these last two? She gets one! Can she get the second?
Oh!
No!
Oh, she looked away. It's the last thing she needed to do. They were literally next to each other. Got the one kill, but unfortunately looked the other way, and Sage just poking through and went, well, thank you very much. I will get the first shot off here. And with that, that is 9 points to 2 as we go into the last match before the half.
I mean, it's again, let me just quickly go through this. Like, I think if we look at the difference here between, you know, the KDRs of the top fraggers for each team. So Susie is currently on 0.66 KDR. Speed is currently on 158. And it's that kind of, obviously with these two teams, I wasn't expecting them to be going for these aggressive kills and things like that, but it's really showing who's been showing up this much on the on the first half in terms of kills and getting those picks onto the enemy.
Targets destroyed.
Well, the eye has gone out. It is going to go down in the end. Having taken a lot of hits. Just having to sort of back out for a little bit. But again, Togepi just biding their time. Waiting to strike. Gets the headshot on one. The spike plants just in time before the shot comes down. But I don't think it'll really matter in the end. Viper is the last one standing and drops. That'll be an easy defuse. And Impact with 3 players up will lead by 10 points to 2 as we go into the switch.
Yes, indeed. And you know, we've seen it before. We've seen the reverse sweep happen. Maybe we'll get to see that, you know, again for the second time this weekend. Perhaps this is a time where the Valkyries can turn around and be like, okay, you know, our attacks, they're not great. We seem to be, you know, we have got the plant down a fair few times at this point. I think, you know, the plant ratio for them is not bad. It's just then them holding it and holding onto that post-plant situation. That's where they seem to be struggling. And again, I think it's more to do with the communication of who's holding what and having that set in stone before you go into the match, making sure that, like, okay, typically if all 5 of us are alive, here's what's holding what, making sure that someone's holding the flank as well, because they've been caught a little bit off guard by some flanks coming through here and there as well. And I'm curious to see if they actually try and use that against Impact and kind of try and punish them and beat them at their own game almost.
Well, as the eye goes up and the engagement start, it's going to be all of the ghosts of Impact going up against 3 ghosts, a classic and a frenzy of Valkyries, and already it's a 4-3 advantage for the Valkyries, so favoring defense a little bit more. It's only the 2 left, and the spike carry goes down as well, and with that, Valkyries will take the pistol round this time around. So the first one went to Impact, the second one goes to Valkyries.
And that's really interesting because it shows that it's easier for them to use their utility and hold those angles when they are defending, when they have more staticness to their plan. It's kind of not a case of, okay, where are we going to push? It's a case of reacting to where the attacker's push is coming from, and then everyone rotating and holding that nicely. And again, we're seeing, I don't know if it's just because, okay, yeah, they are mostly stacking towards A, which I do expect that, I don't know if it's just expected that that's probably the most likely place that Impact were going to try and push, but Impact are indeed pushing there. So we're going to see the Cypher and Sage probably come and join the rest of their team, and we're going to get an all-in-out gunfest now.
Yeah, you can see Cypher and Sage quickly rotating towards A, although Sage is just remaining over on B for the time being. And that's going to be 1, that's going to be 2 for Nuki, so immediately gets themselves a double kill, and that is that corridor pretty much tidied up. And now Impact have to make a decision here if they want to continue with this push. Another grenade goes out, spy carrier goes down as well, long range healer, they're broken it, immediately get the heck out of there and switch straight on over to B. Bunny will be waiting for them, gets 1 pick. Can they get the second one? Crucially, it is just the raise. The location has been obtained, and that is a flawless for Valkyries.
And that's gotta feel good after having a little bit of issues in your attacking rounds to be able in defense to start this off. 2 rounds in a row, one of them being flawless. It's looking quite nice to them so far. Again, not sure whether it's just down to the economy, because obviously it's getting a little bit wavy for both sides right now, but I think it's an interesting one because I feel like I had just previously said I wonder if we're going to see a reverse sweep come through, and if Valkyries carry on the way they're going, we might actually see that, Layla.
Gosh, a 10-2 of that, a sweep of that magnitude would be out of this world. But hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened in this wonderful game that we call Valorant. They will finally pick up that spike, and Brim going to think about hanging on back a little bit more. They're very much split up here, Impact. 2 going towards B, just trying to see if they can scout this out. And again, Valkyrie's also split. A fair amount of utility and 2 on B, whereas everybody else currently on A for the time being. But it looks like it is going to be the B commitment from Impact.
Yeah, I think we see Reyna trying to bait them into thinking that they are going for an A push still while the others start to line up towards B. So I just think they need to go in now and make some aggressive plays because, again, we've seen that coming through from Nuki. Nuki has been super, super aggressive at how she has played the last 2 rounds, and it's really worked out for them. So now it's time for Impact to try and do the same thing, get a little bit aggressive, even if they don't feel confident enough to do so. I reckon they should just go for it.
A Viper wall and a Sage wall both going up in the same place there. So that's a whole lot of that's a fair amount on one spot, but it is going to be the first for Impact, but they're going to lose one as well. Valkyries dropping a second as well, and Viper fairly hurt, but it will give them enough of a chance to get the spike down, so Impact will get the plant with a 4 versus 3 advantage. Everybody now on to B, and we'll see if Viper could do anything from here. They're trapped behind the wall for the time being.
Careful here.